Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family, and we want to, as always, thank you guys that are supporting us over on Patreon. It's just been a blessing to have Patreon and the family over there, as well as YT, and then also we have Rumble, Brighteon, Bitchute as well, and Ko-Fi again. Thank you guys so much for being on this amazing journey with us.
Hooray! Thank you! Yay!
Yeah. This one is a little different in that I want to kind of free flow and just have a little bit of a light discussion on very deep topics and share with you guys some things that are just mind-blowing for the masses, and many people, most I think, wouldn't even be able to accept the possibility of reality being like what we're going to be sharing with you guys. You see this tweet from Elon, surely demanding the overthrow of a government in Germany is illegal, right? As hundreds of Islamists are demonstrating in Hamburg, Germany. And they're demanding that a caliphate be established in the country. You know, what's happened? What's happened is that you have such an influx of migration into some areas that literally what was majorities rapidly becoming minorities. I grew up in Connecticut in Fairfield County. Yeah, that's a pretty affluent area, but I grew up, we were always kind of like the poorest family in a good quote unquote area. And I my last trip there, I didn't even recognize it. It didn't even feel the same as what I remembered as a kid. The world's always shifting though. This is the thing. The world is constantly under change, and our history is so hidden, and that's part of what we're trying to get across right now at this point in time. We could see that they are sowing the seeds of division. They're sowing what they're trying to do is they're trying to get us again to eliminate ourselves for them, so they could have their big redo, as so many have talked about. And then it's just fascinating to see that what was like fringe, the way out there Looney Tunes, is now something that's just established as, well, yeah, okay, we know we have periodic cataclysms. They're natural, the sun sheds, etc. The ground quakes, these things, these things happen. We shared about the Netflix little mini series. There was 8 of them, I think. 3-body problem. It's interesting because 3-body problem that they're talking about, it's not 3 dead bodies. It's 3 suns. And in reality, what we've gotten from the guides is we are part of a 3-sun alignment. And really, that is us. And so, in the show 3-body problem is about another group of extraterrestrials that are heading to Earth because somebody here on Earth is going through a rough time in China and is being persecuted, and she's mad at the world, so she doesn't care, if she invites some aliens to come and destroy it, because, her world has been destroyed by people, so she's mad and angry, and she doesn't care what happens to the rest of us. Now, this is all such an amazing reveal in so many ways and such depths as to our own experience here. Here we are, each one of us, in some ways, is creating our own unique universe. Every single one of us is creating our own unique universe while we are cohabitating with others on this, planet existence, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. It is really, really interesting to watch her go through what she went through in her life, and the torture and the agony, and what she watched humanity go through, and all the masses and masses and masses of people. And I think she felt like overwhelmed. Like, there is no helping this situation. There is absolutely no helping this situation. Look how many people, there are oceans and oceans of people that are going along with this issue that we have with this mainstream propaganda, and there's so few people that are bringing light to it. There's just no way that humans can fix themselves. And plus the torture that she went through was really, really horrible. So in that moment of time, in that one moment, she created a message and she hit the send key. And what was she doing? She was asking for help. She was begging for help, and she saw a way that she personally could help these poor humans, because in her eyes, she's never had a good experience. She's had nothing but torture and pain and angst, and all she sees is oceans of people going along with all of the pain that is happening to one human after the next, and there's just not enough to stand up and help. So very human moments, but I have to look at things like that, and I have to say, this universe is so large, and the cycles that we go through, are there truly any mistakes? But you could look at that situation and say, oh, this is a doozy mistake. This is a huge mistake. But then you think, well, what if these beings actually do come and make a difference, because it never got to that part. So it did leave you hanging, not in a super bad place, but I hate it when they stop them.
I think it'll be another season more than likely, and the worst thing is when they don't have another season. And it was actually interesting and got you thinking. And yes, even the darkness that is Netflix can put out some things that can inspire you to look deeper as you see the imprint of that time, because what these extraterrestrials do is they create this artificial reality that people look at and perceive as if it's real, even a clock ticking that's telling them when they're going to die, and then they end up killing themselves in one way, shape, or form, because it's been implanted in their mind. And this is where I want to go with this. Now, in Three Body Problem, it's the aliens that are facing a world that gets reset all the time. And they can't figure out exactly when the reset's going to happen. They have the technology to dehydrate people, put them in a stasis, and then pop them back to life whenever it goes into a period of stability. Yet what's happening is they're coming to Earth, and it's going to take them 400 years to get here, as they're 4 light years away and from their star, but they are traveling here. And they view humans as dangerous. And at first they were going to cohabitate with us, and when they realized how dangerous humans are and that humans can actually lie, then they decide humans are bugs and they're going to have to be squished. So the thing is, humans will possibly, according to the show, be able to develop technology to counteract their technology in 400 years of our evolution. So what has the system done and revealed to us? Well, the opposite. Again, humans are the ones that are constantly being reset. So that we don't have that straight line evolution that would hurtle us past the ones that oppress us. So it's kind of the opposite. It's humans that are being reset through these great resets. And, and the extraterrestrials are doing that purposefully on our planet. Now, Elon obviously knows all this, and it's fascinating too, because you watch his tweets. He was talking about, I have tens of thousands of satellites up in space, and I haven't encountered a single alien. And then somebody else was saying, but he won't say that about demons and angels now. The paradigms that we are in mentally, which are, basically conditioned responses depending on how and what we accept to be our version of reality. Now, Peter, who's one of our Patreons, I always think of Peter as Peter from Poland. Hey, Peter. He was talking about Krzysztof, who we're going to get to too, who is a Polish psychic. And I've been starting to follow some other people's information out of curiosity, which is something that I steered clear from, and Cindy has steered clear from, because we didn't want to be tainted, so to speak, with what they are seeing. Yet, and right now in my own personal studies where I'm going through, and I just keep finding mind-blowing, amazing things in all the Hindu books. I mean, the Hindu books are also, I believe, tainted by the control system. I don't think there's anything that's not tainted by the control system, because we're in ultimately a dark matrix within the matrix of light, which is the natural matrix, but it's still a matrix. This is the reality. Joni Petrie, we've talked about her. She did this about 3-4 days ago, talking about May predictions and being prepared for a major attack. And she did something that she, as far as we know, we can't remember ever seeing her do before. She said, I had a vision, and the attack is going to happen with something that starts with San. And, she threw out San Diego, San Francisco, and she felt most likely San Antonio. Now, she's a Texas lady, too, so she's from Dallas. Again, the immigrant-migrant situation. Let me, and just touch on that, by the way. Do you know, and I was going to do a whole video on this, but I'm going to just touch on this right here, that the tornado outbreak, obviously, we talked about that. It was horrible. And Nebraska, Iowa, and then Oklahoma, we've seen these tornadoes. And yes, I think what's happening right now is the humans that are waking up and they're kind of stunned. And now they're really being able to see through things to a high degree that they're freaking out. A lot of people that are very happy in the system, whether they are knowingly or unknowingly part of the system, that is, each person is at their own level, so to speak. Again, a doctor, for instance, that goes so deep in debt and then all of a sudden realizes that they only have 6 minutes to spend with every patient. He knows he's not doing his best for that patient, but he's doing what he can in the system because he's trapped in the system. And this is what the system does. Well, I'm seeing a lot of people, and then when I look at some comments where people are saying, well, this is just normal. And then you look, okay, well, who is this person? And you click and you follow links. And then you find out, they're deeply invested in the system. So, they're so in the system that they don't want the system to be anything bad, anything negative, because they like where they're at and they don't want it to collapse. They're perfectly happy where they're at. So they have a vested interest in the system staying status quo, even though it's obvious it's not going to stay status quo. It's changing before our very eyes, and we are going down different paths. We're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of people. And in the last, I want to say 7 years since the first eclipse, many people have said goodbye to friends that you just don't get it. You don't get each other anymore. Relationships. I mean, we cannot tell you how many couples we have had sessions with, the last 5 years that are on divergent paths. And, for the most part, almost all of them have ended up separating and going their different ways because consciousness is heading in different directions.
Mm-hmm. People are feeling very, very uncomfortable in their skin. And over these past 7 years, what my transition has been is understanding that discomfort, whenever there is pain, doesn't mean I like it, does not mean I like it, but I have retrained my brain to understand that this is a direct connection to higher self, and higher self is doing what it can to help you stay on that path, or at least get on your path. So if you're doing something in your life, or there is something causing you pain, pay attention to that, because that thing is trying to get your attention. It needs help. There's something you are not doing that you need to fix. And I mean, it might even look like it's something completely external, completely unfair, but all of these things that you feel pain, that are getting your attention, need your attention, and they need you to change something. They need you to look at things. And this is what's been going on for a lot of people. And we go through these little purges here and there. And maybe it's not something constant for some people. Maybe it is constant. But there's at least little purges where people are feeling uncomfortable in their lives. And the world as we know it is having people look at it like a forced situation, because we're becoming so sensitive that we're not able to ignore it. And that's what's going on down the line. This is what's going from one person to the next. And usually the more sensitive you are, the harder this pain can be, which can make things dangerous, because then people start looking for escapes. And once they start looking for escapes, that's where the ball can start rolling downhill. That's where, things might not go so well, even though there's purpose in everything. But if you're in pain to the point of escape, you really need to sit and figure with that and try to figure it out before anything switches to the bad off button for you, because sometimes people don't pull out of that. That's just the unfortunate truth. Sometimes they go down that path and they're just not able to pull back out. So it's a cry for help. It's yourself, your higher self, your spirit team, yourself, your guides. Everybody's screaming for help.
And so this is Krzysztof. Now his Polish channel doesn't have closed captions, so I cannot understand Polish. So they are putting little pieces of his work over here on clear seeing, which is giving small little blurbs on what he's getting. He's a very famous Polish psychic, been very accurate. Now, what he's seeing here is he's talking about a major event in the Middle East, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be something on the scale of which, in our knowledge of this period in history, all the history we have, we've never seen anything this large in this area. So what he was talking about, too, is he's getting impressions that he's seeing things that are very, very different from what I've gotten, but he's in a different perspective. And this is part of the reality. So he's in Poland. So he's more Eurocentric. And we were talking about Joni, and she's worried about San Antonio. Now she's very Texas-centric. When I've seen, the visions of the trials ahead, it's primarily all about the U.S. And so, it's, again, each one of us has our own lens that we're looking through. And each one of us is, again, creating our own reality in a bubble. But that bubble does come and merge up against other bubbles. And so that's when it gets interesting. The one thing I really want to get across is there is nothing set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. And yet, at the same time, there are massive avalanches of karma and energy that are always in play, that it's very hard to, if you can imagine a massive avalanche coming down a hill, it's going to be hard to shove it out of the way. It's certainly easier to shove yourself out of the way than to try to move a massive avalanche that's already coming. You just simply avoid the area, get out of the area, you just wait for it to settle. And this is, again, what we've been trying to get across to people, because even though it seemed like hell in, say, the years of 1939 to 1945 in Poland, absolutely, it was hell. It was 6 years of hell. The world goes on. Not everybody died. Most people didn't die. And in fact, some semblance of a new norm comes into being. This is where we're at again in our times. How can you create your own little safety bubble? It's by your own energy and your frequency, and it's by not allowing you to be pulled in by the dark side. Again, the dark side just wants to lower your frequencies, where it can play with you all day and all night. So what he's seeing is a huge event in August in the Middle East. That sounds like it could either be nuclear. Now, knowing what we know, I don't think it's going to be nuclear. It could be the big Middle Eastern quake that some have talked about and seen, and even a biblical perspective as well. That might be something above a 9, and that vision I had of some strange Middle Eastern person that wasn't really human, mitigating and taking like maybe half of a whole magnitude or more away from a quake. This might be what he's seeing, I'm wondering, or it could be, again, some sort of new rods of God technology, laser technology, something's used that's mind-blowing. And in fact, he says whole countries surrender after this event without even going to war. Now, I have never seen anything like that. So if he's seeing something like that, it could be, again, it's a new timeline, a divergent timeline. I don't know. Is there ever a day that goes by when I don't say to you, what are you sensing? Do you think we're changing timelines?
That's our life.
Yeah. I mean, this is how we sit, we do our mantras today. We did, basically like half hour-ish of mantras, half hours of Qigong, half hour of yoga, and then got some cardio in. So we're taking care of the mind-body-spirit complex, grounding, rooting, and then we're ready for work. Again, take care of your mind-body-spirit complex, to use the term again from the law of one. Now, that's a term I don't mind. I don't like the harvest term. That doesn't feel good, so to speak. So anyway, he's seeing some massive events. And he also was looking at the time period and what...
That was big.
What the heck was that?
That was a huge explosion.
That would... Okay. 1220. Yeah, we just heard like a massive explosion or something. I don't know what that was. But anyway, I'm going to check the... and now there's planes in there.
Now there's planes in there. That's weird.
This
Maybe
is...
somebody broke the sound barrier. Hopefully.
It could have been... Yeah, it could have been something breaking the sound barrier. Okay, so where was it? 2024 through 2028. And what did he see in 2028? He saw Israel all the way over to the Euphrates River. He saw an enlarged Israel that is so big it is incorporating a part of Iraq. That would be massive change. And yet he also saw a timeline in which the U.S. wasn't changed much, but Russia was devastated. So this would be very, very different than what we have, I've seen. But I do feel timelines are always changing. Nothing is set in stone. And then these guys, the future forecasters, now they did get a lot of impressions that were very in sync with what I was feeling. So we'll see. What do you feel? Do you feel we are changing timelines? Again, it's all a unique perspective. This is from Rumi. For every event that may happen in the world, countless possibilities sleep in the realm of the multiverse. You awaken those possibilities with the words you utter. Speak beautiful words and beautiful possibilities will awaken. This is the intervention of man in his destiny, as we are all creating our own destinies. So again, you can, if you are so inclined, you can isolate yourself and put yourself in a protective bubble. I do think that is the case. It takes an awakened individual, though. I think you have to be grounded, rooted, and understand the inherent power that lies within the individual. Most people are not at that level. Most people have been dumbed up, drugged up, and are just enveloped in all sorts of lower frequency vibrations that keep them from really even understanding this.
It is. I mean, it's difficult. You really have to do a little bit of the extra to be able to stand back and see this in its entirety. But I would say mostly what they do is they keep people on a lot of different FARMA, and that doesn't allow for them to see the bigger picture. Even though some people do, some people can see it. Most do not, because it's just buried. You might know that there's something else beyond, but it makes it very difficult for people to stand back and really get the bigger picture. Because once you do get that bigger picture, is you don't act the same anymore. You definitely don't spend your money on things that are going to make you sick, ill. I mean, I know it's common for people to go get an ice cream or something now, but Mike and I would never in a million years go get some of the ice cream that's at the grocery stores now, because the way we see it, it's full of poison. It's no longer just, we'll just eat it. It's not like that anymore. So we definitely, in some ways, we vote with our dollars. And I think a lot of people, that would be helpful if other people could too. But it's that type of shoulder shrugging type of thing. Well, this thing is not that bad. It's only a little bit of toxins here. It's only a little bit of toxins there. It's only a little bit of toxin in my shampoo, my face cream, my soap, my cream rinse, my leave-in hair conditioner. It's only a little bit of toxin in the lotion. But once you really start seeing that and you write it down, you see that you're pretty full of toxins, and that's deliberate.
Absolutely. So Rumi is an interesting being, again, a Sufi mystic and poet within the realm of every religion out there. You'll find that there are always gems. People that see beyond the division that is created by taking on one particular dogma, and in their own lives they may just ignore that, and they will refuse to be put in a box. When we look again to what the Hindu texts tell us about the multiverse, because it is a multiverse, there's worlds layered upon worlds, and there's pretty much every possible reality out there. This gives you a clue as to why we have these Mandela effects, because what we are seeing is something that in one reality did transpire, and what has happened? Why do we remember it differently? Perhaps you've shifted your reality. You have jumped into a new timeline. There's lokas. Loka is worlds. So again, even here on Earth, there's all sorts of different worlds intermingled. As we know, we have people living on the planet. We have beings living in the ocean. We have beings living, outside of our stratosphere, and some beings monitoring us in ships, and other beings living inside the Earth itself. And then we go into the different densities, absolutely, fourth and fifth, and we there's so many different abodes for consciousness. So there's so many different Hindu scriptures as well. And this is the Vashista, which is another gem with lots of stories, in a sense, again, When we've asked guides about these things, they say, well, we hope that you get something from the stories. They don't say, no, this is exactly how it happened. We've never gotten that from the guides, that this is exactly how it happened, word for word. No, they're all about just inspiring, awakening consciousness, exploring new possibilities, seeing things from different angles. There's the story of Leela and Sarasvati. Sarasvati is the counterpart to Brahma, the goddess of wisdom. So you have Queen Leela and King Padma leading an idyllic life. But as they age, Leela fears he might die first, in which case her own life would be intolerable. So she does tapas. What are tapas? They're like offerings. Again, we do these things too. Whenever we go, like we went food shopping yesterday, and so Lakshmi's favorite is strawberries, and she loved strawberries when she was on the third density. Yes, a goddess on the third density. Yes, these are just advanced beings. These are beings that have done what we've done eons ago, and they've moved on to higher densities. They no longer reside into 3D out of choice, but they do watch us, and if we call to them, they will guide us, they'll help us, but they won't directly interfere, because we are souls that are learning. This is school. This is where we are. We are at school. So she likes strawberries, so we always will put out some strawberries for her when we get them, or apples or anything. And what they do is they take the life force from the fruit, and then they bless it and send it back to us, and it works in our energy fields.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do this in some way, shape, or form, and I can tell you with the strawberry and Lakshmi, we do cut it. We cut it because that's going to release more life force, but she loves the essence of the strawberry. She's able to do a lot of really, really beautiful things with the strawberry that fit her personality and that fit who she is, and allowing us to tap into her energy, and she's then able to tap into our energy. So a lot of this, the intention behind everything, is so very, very important. So the more time that you take on doing something like this, giving an offering, and the prayer that's involved, and the how pretty you make it, the more you do that, the more focus is going to go into this energy, the more you get out of it. Now, this isn't the only way to infuse your world with this type of consciousness and this type of energy that might change your life or bless your life in another way. People do all kinds of different things. This is just one way, and it's how we are most familiar with, and it's how we are most comfortable with, and it's how we put our energy out there.
Absolutely. And I was doing this back in my 20s. Again, it's just something that came instinctive to me, I think, from past lives. And what we offer is fruit, because fruit, again, is kind of karma free. It's the potential of life. It's an offering. Fruit is an offering for us to then utilize. So, again, you are aware of dark energies that use very, very different types of offerings. But yes, we'll focus on the positive here. And so she doesn't want to, be apart from him. And so she does her offerings to Sarasvati and obtains a boon. A boon is a blessing. And the boon here is to have her husband's spirit always with her. She and the goddess astral travel and time travel to see the couple's prior life as simple Brahmins. Brahmin is the priestly caste, as they had a caste system and still do adhere to a caste system, which they believe is the result of past karma. So she and the goddess astral travel and time travel to see their past lives. And then when her husband sees a lavish royal hunting party, creating a desire in him to possess the wealth of an empire, That desire manifests after King Padma dies, and the queen and the goddess see another reality in the deceased king's mind. He is now King Vidaratha, ruling a vast empire with a second Leela as his wife. And so they witness a great war between King Vidaratha and his enemy King Sindhu. Leela and Sarasvati awaken Vidaratha, who remembers his past lives, including as the Brahmin who wanted to possess the wealth of an empire. And so, it goes on, and the point is, there's all these different alternative realities, and the reality of the fact that we have lived before, which we can tap into. As I know, Cindy and I had a life together, not far from here, but just on the other side of the Mississippi River, as what you would call Native Americans. And how long ago was that? I'm not really sure, because again, our time is so jumbled, but I would say hundreds of years ago. But this is kind of why we've gravitated back to the same area, and it feels kind of comfortable to us. It's the recollection of the past life that we did have together in this area. And also, I've had visions of different past lives as well. And many people have. And there's been many children, we did a couple videos on that are totally aware of their past lives. And he can even tell you things that there's no way they would ever be able to know without being cognizant of their past lives. So the reality that the soul transmigrates, we go from one situation to another, sometimes embodied in these bodies in a physical manner, sometimes not. And often we will create a world for ourselves in the astral when we die to give ourselves time to acclimate. And so, when Cindy was viewing my mom, what did she like to do the last years of her life? She liked to do puzzles. Sit at the kitchen table, do puzzles, or look out and just watch. She could see boats in the distance, and she could see, the traffic and goings-on of a city. And she was doing the same thing. It was in her mind. She was creating that reality while she was deciding what she wants to do after that. And this is the reality. We are consciousness itself. And perhaps you're back at this point in time, at this particular moment in time, and this is one of the things that has been hitting me a lot lately, is this a redo? Is this a redo? Because maybe the last time I decided to stay in the system and not to leave a comfortable situation, and, I didn't contribute to awakening as many as possible. And this time, it's like going all out, trying to awaken as many as possible, no matter what. Again, hard to say if this is the original or is this the redo. This is part of that deja vu and all that is involved in the Mandela effect as well.
Mm-hmm. It's because we are in these human bodies that have certain filters on them. So that if you're not in this body and you're able to step out of the body, then you can see all of those goings-ons. It's only because we're human, and the human mind kind of needs things to go in a linear fashion, just sort of from this way to that way. Otherwise, it can scramble the mind, or the mind just simply does not process it. It can't process it. So that's done so that each individual experience is recorded and it's taken with you. I thought one of the most interesting things I heard when I was listening to an NDE is she said when she was in the ambulance, she left her body, she brought her life with her. Her life came with her. And what does that tell you? Like all of her experiences, everything that she has ever done, felt, experienced, tasted, every person she's ever met, she brought that entire experience with her. So if she has that one, she's going to have multiple others. And she was able to be in different places at once. And I can understand that too. When I look at a soul who has passed on, I want you to think of the sun and the sun's rays. As the rays can go out all different directions. So when you think of your loved one that has passed, are they able to be with you and your cousins and your sister and your children too? Absolutely, because all of those rays can go in any different direction. Yet the one source, the one soul is right there. And if you can expand on that and see that in a higher level, on a deeper level, on a bigger level, then you can start kind of poking your head out of this limited human costume and see what else there is. But don't ever forget that this costume is here to help enrich our experience. As painful as it might be sometimes, it's truly a blessing.
So again, in Hinduism, the goal is self-realization. What does that mean? Well, it just simply means, understanding who you really are. And that's all everything is an exploration of. It's just the exploration of that. And ultimately, we are consciousness at this point in time having a human experience at the changing of an age when a dark system is being exposed for what it is. And, it's really just a matter of where do we want to go with this? Where do we want to take this? The concept of a multiverse, the concept of reincarnation and transmigration of the soul, an explanation for things such as deja vus and the Mandela effect. Everything is in there. And ultimately, it's all very, very plainly spoken when you just take the time to absorb it and meditate on it. So I hope you guys found this interesting. I'll have PDFs so you can explore this too. Again, the world is Maya. Maya is illusion. The unreality of the world. And so we could get into all that. And this is really... this is at the core of this. This is an illusion in so many ways, but it's very, very real while we're in it. And that's why it's such an important tool for teaching and learning. So just as we experience the delusion of hundreds of years in a dream lasting an hour, so also we experience the sport of Maya in our waking state. This is again from the Yoga Vasishta, and it's just one of countless. Again, the amount of information that's out there in these different scriptures is just so vast, and it really truly explains everything.
It's like suddenly you know how Santa Claus did all of his magic.
As always, guys, thanks for your support. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.